Yo, what's good, folks? We, of course, have an episode of Dynamite. It's going to be one of my earlier reviews didn't regularly because I'm not feeling that lazy for today. Of course, we had the main event that was supposed to be scheduled on day two of Fighter Fest, but over the circumstances of Renee Young picking up COVID, hopefully she's doing okay. Moxley had to reschedule a few weeks later, so they scheduled Fight for the Fallen for at least any equivalency to show any big match feel, even though we got what we got with the main event. I felt like this was one of the better matches, better than the two Fighter Fest events combined, in the aspect that we actually had a world title defense, other than just a near fall BS match that ended up with Jericho winning out of Orange Cassidy, seriously. Uh, Other than that, we opened up with Cody facing off against Sunny Kiss for the TNT Championship. Of course, we start with Cody not busting himself open, barely telling a story, just doing spot after spot. There was an Alabama slam that caught my attention over from the from the entrance stairway, running bulldog, a couple clotheslines, nice counters off Sunny Kiss, even though all he did was kick, stomp, kick, stomp, and do a little pimp slap or some slow kid slap. A running lariat that ended up with a cool transition into a pinfall. I thought that was a pretty cool move. That split leg into a leg drop. It came off fading to black when some Sonny Kiss failed to reach with a move, and it ended up with a crossroads that looked like Sonny Kiss failed to do the Scorpion. The match was fine. I thought it was okay. In my opinion, it was fair enough, but it felt like there's like no very little storytelling because it feels like Cody has literally the biggest rivals in MJF and Jericho, and they're not building up any semblance of hype between these matches. And the biggest thing was supposed to be him against Jake Hager for the TNT title, but somehow they thought of scheduling that the best way day one of Fighter Fest. I thought that was the dumbest scheduling. Like, you don't have your top matches on pay per view. You don't have your top of the line headlining matches that literally even had their own press conference on day one of a special event or week one because it's weekly. They're not doing a goddamn parade. Festival. That was literally the match. I thought it was okay. It was a watchable match. All I can tell you about this episode of Dynamite, it was some semblance of it was watchable, and they're not trying too hard to actually think that they're bigger than they are. They're actually trying to make a weekly programming, and that's the most faith I can give it. They're not trying to do any bullshit with Sunny Kiss, trying to pull this as a political message like they did with what I thought when he was facing off against one half of the Private Party. But that's just my opinion. Next up was, of course, the Lucha House Party. The Lucha Bros. I want to edit that out, but thanks, I made such a dumb thing of just for your treat. Y'all can catch me in the BS. I made a mistake. FTR faced off against the Lucha Bros in a tag team match. Of course, going over that FTR and the Elite lost to them in an 8-man tag last week at Fighter Fest on Dynamite. So yeah, they had this match, and I barely watched. I barely watched this match. I just know it was super kick, uh, a double shoulders, a running punt kick. I think, uh, I think Dax was trying to pull up the mask of, I think, Pentagon or Ray Phoenix. Running kicks into the apron. I didn't care. This didn't tell much of a story other than they all involved beef. All that mattered was the post match that involved, as soon as the Butcher and Blade that looked like they owned their own plantation came taunting them because of course, they have a rivalry or sort of rivalry. No one cares that the Butcher and Blade win matches. End up with getting just jumped by the Young Bucks and then they ended up trying to, be cool after Kenny Omega came with a cooler, trying to pass up some beers after what happened last week with Kenny Omega, uh, you know, re- rejecting the offer because I think he's not an alcoholic at all. He doesn't drink alcohol, so he was trying to open a cold one and trying to be cool with the Revolt again. I'm just gonna call them Revolt. I don't know why they. I hate team names and acronyms. That's why I never like calling D Generation X DX. Like we know their full name. So it ended up with the Revolt just tossing beer, just douncing Kenny Omega with beer, and of course this will come to affect them because he ended up getting pissed off, leaving the Revolt to walk away, and then they ended up in a backstage segment involving Hangman and Page when they didn't even do much talking. All they did was intervene with Hangman, grab some alcohol, and drink that while watching the match with the Elite facing off against Jurassic Express. I already hate myself. I hate the reason why Jurassic Express even exists in the aspect of everything. There's not a lot of backstage segments in the semblance that we had a couple promos, and I thought that's fine. And Jericho bringing up a huge announcement that he will not be giving Orange Cassidy a rematch after beating him last week on Dynamite. Over the, of course, surprise of everybody, Orange Cassidy would come up to do the most cliche thing in wrestling in the TV show. Signal some fluid that, of course, and he kept screaming about this the entire night. But $7,000, obviously ripping off the shit he did with the scarf back when he was on WWE. And he got doused. Ortiz kept flopping like a gefilte fish that has special needs, and lost a fin. So that was the most entertaining part of the segment. Other than that, they kept selling this for about several seconds until it was getting old. I don't know why Ortiz kept doing spasms. Like that's the best part of his character. He doesn't like getting his hair wet. He's retarded, and Santana's the better wrestler. That's just my opinion and all that. It's an okay segment. I thought somebody was going to come up or something like probably the best friends were going to jump like 5 men in the ring. Like that would be a smart idea, but somehow dousing orange juice on grown men doesn't think like I feel like kicking this guy's ass and chasing him out the arena. We also had the Elite face off against the Jurassic Express, but that came into some semblance of trying to think that the Jurassic Express that I think has the worst indie gimmick to be on national television. And a majority of wrestling fans do not watch indie crap. I'm sorry. That sounds mean, but in some aspect that AEW actually builds up a mainstream following that hopefully it does. I wish for everything to be successful. Try to get that bread. Try, all that jazz. Somehow, over the interviewer got Marco Stunt's name wrong and called him Jungle Boy because he's short and white and has long hair. And of course, Luchasaurus is like a 6'7" monster wearing a green condom with spikes on it, coming around just saying that he lived for millions of years, jumping around doing super kicks, roundhouse kicks, and suplexes. And of course, this is supposed to be a somewhat semi-comedic gimmick. The match was fine. It was literally the second best match of the night. Off decent flips, grappling by the Young Bucks and Jungle Boy. The best parts was whenever they were just lifting around and uh, Marco Stunt was just used as like they were using Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus as a freaking slingshot for Marco Stunt to hit up Hurricane Rana's, reaching over the shoulder for him to do some kind sunset Canadian Destroyer on I think Matt Jackson. That was V Trigger. I thought it was dumb. One of the segments, one of the moves when Kenny was doing multiple V triggers and nearly tossing Jungle Boy, everybody out. He was trying to save Marco Stunt from getting a V trigger from the second rope, and kicked Luchasaurus. I didn't know why that would stop Luchasaurus in the first. That would stop Kenny in the first place because he's in the match, and of course he V triggers Kenny. I mean, oh my God, he pins. I mean, he V triggers Marco Stunt. Excuse me, and of course we had Kenny Omega with, of course, his words of wisdom from literally a meme being a T-shirt to saying that Marco Stunt is like a 5-year-old. You can do whatever you want with him. I didn't say that originally. He did. So whatever y'all say, y'all gonna say that on Botchamania or something, or something to reveal like Chris Jericho, the Le Champion is a pedo. It ends off the most pretty much the aggressive dragon suplexes I saw all night, and thanks to Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy, it looks more aggressive because these guys combine his weight to the equivalent of this mug I'm holding. You guys can't see it, but when I put it down, you're gonna know it's a mug. Yeah. Then one winged angel, I'm the shortest person on the team, so Kenny shows no mercy, and it also comes with a post attack into the match because he found Marco Stunt the most dangerous one because he did issue the most punishment, selling Hurricane Aranas, selling Canadian Destroyers, Inziguris, multiple body shots, even though taking body shots by a shorter person should feel like taking pellet shots or whatever is the most powerful Nerf gun. So that's how it felt. It ended up with Kenny trying to build up to people trying to see the cleaner or some semblance of a character when he was in New Japan, when he was part of the Bullet Club. But in that instance, I just didn't care. I just know he was about to jump on a short person or the whole junior heavyweight division. So that's it was an entertaining match. I'll say it. It was a pretty fun match. Some semblance of enjoyment. It was really fast paced. We didn't see a lot of super kicks, thank God, but a lot of V trigger, and I think too much overselling to this fact of Marco Stunt had to be shown to be threatening. And Luchasaurus was speaking to him in the middle of the promo like a freaking child. Next up is the Nightmare Sisters, because Allie just came from being the bunny for the Butcher and Blade to now part of the Nightmare family because I think she dates JP. Whatever Jake from State Farm actor they have being a professional wrestler. That's literally what QP Marshall looks like. And the instancy of, I mean, any logic that comes to just Dustin Rhodes just regularly looking like a mystic pedo, just continue wearing half the face paint, just remembering that we called you Gold Dust for over 20 years, faced up against somebody by the name of Kenzie local talent. Just say local talent. Ken or Jobbers. And MJ Jenkins in a squash match. I mean, all we saw of offense was just super kicks and big boots into just a spear out of nowhere off Brandy because she's also a wrestler. Didn't she have this faction before? She had a faction before involving some pedo named Luther and another guy. I mean, and some other woman named Mel. Then that didn't happen. Then they patched him up with the Nightmare family with Allie, QT Marshall, and of course Dustin Rhodes. Allie kept arguing because she kept stealing some of her opportunities to dish out any sort of offense. I didn't really care about this match. This match was just underweighing the most mid-card thing, even though she's married to the top guy on the roster and he's holding on to a title that he literally created. I don't care about the TNT title. The TNT title looks ugly. Of course, next up, we have Nyla Rose issuing that she will be having a manager in the some semblance of her just ripping off Nia Jax, except she's at least safe in the ring and actually looks intimidating. Hikaru Shida's promo just involved multiple top stars being reasonably knocked off because of injury, already losing to her in the first place. And then she just challenged anybody to face her for the women's title. We, of course, had Vicky Guerrero, of all people. Actually, that's a good mix for Vicky Guerrero, even though it's better. We rarely see her in her wrestling in her career in the business. I rarely saw her with any female clients. So, that sounds wrong. I mean, female wrestler. That sounds better. That sounds like, oh my god, female clients. Is is Vicky Guerrero a pimp? And is she? I'm trying to make a reference to another Hall of Fame woman that was notable for sex trafficking. If you remember who that was, because that made a WWE change their name for their female battle royal to rip off the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal like a few years back. And the trophy looked like ovaries, to be honest. And I think a lot of people made jokes about that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Nyla Rose, her Vicky Guerrero's freaking theme song is literally just "Excuse Me" remixed in the worst techno babble that you'll ever hear. And it's so bad. It is really bad. In the instancy that I care that Nyla Rose has a manager. So, we of course had our main event that of course involved John Moxley, that of course is pumped to face up against Brian Cage after a three week hiatus out of action after the Renee incident. So now he goes defends his title for the, I think this is the third time, against Brian Cage. And they bring some semblance of wifey, because of course Taz is from the street. His fifth Chin is talking that street stuff. And of course, Brian Cage, well, he will throw out the towel because he doesn't want to risk Brian Cage suffering another shoulder injury. And they kept pushing that over the match. At least the commentary was at least quotable this time. The commentary was at least on point, other than uh, Jericho bitching for like half of the show. And yeah, I thought the match was okay. Wasn't better than the tag team match. It was just so it was getting better second half because he was closing on the shoulder. A a vertical suplex, I think, on Moxley, or I think it was a belly to belly on the guardrail, and he kept selling over to the arm and shoulder. He even teased that over enjoying the hospital, missing 5 months of your career, and he kept teasing this front flipping off Taz when he was operating inverted parts of the arm bar and cross arm breaker. So he was using more stuff than the paradigm shift because somehow just planting a man's head on the canvas is less devastating than just doing an arm bar that he can easily just fight and just flip you like he was literally just lifting and like he's just deadlifting and just working out with Moxley's body. Pause. Whatever he's just working, whenever he's trying to powerlift him or anything. A buckle bomb, a big boot, and a continuous running knees like that was actually going to do anything. And just aggressive clotheslines near her. At least it had some semblance of a match. It was a decent match. And the towel toss was pretty much unexpected. And after Moxley won via forfeit, because the towel by Taz, because he always gets that cum rag with him for no damn reason. The FTW champion came with a post-match attack after literally your own manager that's supposed to have the top faith in you tosses a towel in you and you don't jump on him, but somehow you jump on the world champion that had you on the ropes. He should be scared shitless if that happened. And then he just retreats with Taz because Darby Allin came out of nowhere. So that's pretty much Fight of the Fallen. It was a pretty okay show. In the wake of actually being somewhat entertaining with the matches and looking like it's going to actually bring some excitement for next week on Dynamite, if they actually have excitement, because they kept showing these women that I have not, because they kept previewing tag team matches involving the Young Bucks and the Butcher and Blade still on TV, and even though they barely win matches unless they involve outside assistance. And of course, at least the most exciting part is MJF coming back. They have two women that I don't think anybody saw on a Dynamite for the last several months, or anyway in general. They've probably been wrestling in dark and thought they were good wrestlers, or they had great work rate, so they just put them on Dynamite to give some ecstasy of, a source of a card for weekly programming. Like, I'm gonna see women I barely watch, and because everybody gets injured on Dynamite, even Higashida said that we have a lack of a women's division. If that's the truth, because most of your bitches either get injured or old or look fat. It's that it sucks, but that's the cruel way of life. The tag division is just, and the tag division too. It's pretty weak if you can't take out two guys that are obviously not always in the same page in individual wrestlers. They kept saying that all over their matches, and they still win consistently. So I don't understand what is the factor of having a win-loss record. I don't understand. They don't even bring any semblance of privilege or what happens to like the sub 500 guys, the guys that suck at wrestling, and of course the top guys. Do they get better chances? Do they get better ways financially, or get more power in the company? Win-loss records should, operate that, and I wish they were more, consistent in the wake of that. But this was an okay episode of Dynamite. I obviously didn't like the towel toss finish from Taz. I thought that was weak, but I know they might be teasing a rematch. But you get what you get, bro. I don't care. This at least brings some excitement. I mean, something to look forward to for next week. Obviously, not excitement. This wasn't the most exciting episode of Dynamite, to be honest. But at least it's better than Raw gave us just this week. That's it coming from the DST show. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys think opposite or the same way, please feel free to type down in the comment section. I would love to hear everybody's opinion. That's it coming from me. Thanks for watching.